Hopefully I got, okay, there we go. We got some video, and hopefully we are going to go through this pretty quick. Today, guys, we're going to be having a conversation about your ROI tracking and how that actually equates to what is beneficial for understanding where your marketing resources are actually being beneficial for you. So let's go back a little bit and have a quick conversation about this. Item number one is, as you get into adding more marketing into your daily business, whether that be real estate or any other type of business, what you need to do is be able to identify whether that return on investment is paying off in dividends. So the way that we can do that is, one, by asking our clients where they may have heard about us, but the second is having other opportunities to track this. Now, Google Analytics is a great resource to track things like website traffic, but how do we track things like phone calls, that organic base of when people are trying to connect with us? What I'm going to go over is about 4 or 5 resources that you get to choose which one you like the best to identify which one might fit you and cost wise may be beneficial. So the conversation is in a call tracking method. Let's go ahead and use a couple details. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this on real quick. And here is one that I use. I've personally liked this quite a bit. So I do actually subscribe to the first two of these services so I can kind of go in and give some more robust nature of those things. So this first one is called CallRail. Now, the beautiful thing about CallRail is that, one, it allows for things like tracking. It is a direct tracking and call routing. So it also can do things like round robining to different agents or different ISAs. This gives me a great opportunity for, one, and it says it right here, to track, to analyze, to improve, and to convert. So it allows me to track these calls. It allows me to even see who's talking more. Is it my ISAs that are talking more? Is it the client that's talking more? Are we overbearing in the conversation? There's a lot of really great tools in here, and I'll see if I can log into this real quick so I can give you an idea of what that looks like. So when I log into the CallRail account, what this allows me to do is be able to see my entire round robin, and it allows me to track my phone calls. So I can see when and what times I'm seeing good phone calls. I can track different numbers. And it also allows, because we are a single party state in Texas, it allows me to also record those calls and be able to go back to those for training purposes. So I really enjoy this one. There are a few quirks, and that's actually why I keep the second one in play. The second one that I'm going to go over today is called CallFire. Now, CallFire is something I've been using for a long time. This is a great place for cost basis. So this allows us to keep the cost down very minimal. And in CallFire, this allows for the same simple things. It allows for what is called IVR setup, which allows a person to call in and find paths into where they actually feel comfortable with. So if you're getting to a point of scale where you need to make sure that you're identifying calls at a certain time, this helps out tremendously because this allows people to find their avenue. So if they're looking to buy, if they're looking to sell, if they're looking for rentals, if they're looking for any specifics, you can dial them out to certain places. The other thing that CallFire also allows for is easy access to phone numbers. So that's what this kind of all rotates down to, is tracking phone numbers. And as you can tell, I have quite a few phone numbers in here that track where things are happening. I also have some transfer details in here. And all this is built out. It is a little bit of a learning curve, but it is fairly simple when you actually get in and just walk through the tutorials. Now, you can take it to a very high level, and we've done some of that stuff with our CallRail account that allows for things like round robining. So in a round robin, it allows us to, at certain times, go to a certain place. Now, this is great for those of you that might have teams, but why would an individual agent want to be able to track numbers? Once again, if you track that number through an ROI source, so a return on investment, this allows you to create and understand what is benefiting. So if I have billboards, if I have direct mail, and you have a number that's very specific, that in that direct mail, if they call on that number, then the hope is now you know that area was very beneficial for the direct mail. So This is why it's so important to do this, and this is why there are so many systems that allow for this process. It also shows if this call was unanswered, right? So this morning, late last night, these are calls that got unanswered. These are calls that we can go back and return those phone calls to make sure that they're received. Another one on the call fire side is, once again, it's through all the details. They all can pretty much port numbers back and forth, not as easy as you may like, but it does allow for a lot of functionality. And in here, it also gives in that same detail. I can record that call. I can see when it is. I can see how many calls I've been having if I'm missing phone calls, right? So right here, I can see that I had 25 transfers come in, and I had a total of 32 calls. So that means that about 7 of those calls were missed. This also shows if a call was accepted or not recepted, when they were. And then these are also trackable numbers. So when I click into them, it will actually open up to what I'm looking for. Both have great reporting systems on the two that I use, and they allow me to track that information as I see fit. I can look at segmenting companies. I can look at other details. I can look at days, specific times. And then I have an entire report section that allows me to see what everything is happening. So great resource, great opportunity, and I think it's really powerful. So second one, once again, was CallFire. First one is CallRail. I like both of these, and they're both very reasonable on cost. That some of them have systems that are as low as $5 or $10 per, and then you usually cost about $1 to $2 per phone number. Next one is called 5street. I am not well aware on what 5street does because I don't use it, but I do know a lot of people that have very good success with 5street. A lot of people that have a large, robust amount of people in their queue, they use 5street as a round robining service, and they like it a lot. So 5street is an option. Another one is more if you want to have an entire phone system, this is a great avenue. So for your business, for everything, this is called RingCentral. I actually use Google Voice, and I use the admin function of Google Voice. So this allows me to be able to connect. But RingCentral is a great resource for those of you that want to use it. What my suggestion is, most of these places allow for demos, or they allow for at least a delayed time in payment to test out their product. I would always do that before you jump right in and fully commit. As I mentioned, I use Google Voice. We use a Google suite of products that is across our board. So Google Voice is great because Google Voice is connected with Google. But the second category of it is that it also is connected through a new VoIP, or Voice over Internet Protocol resource. Now, why am I getting all into the weeds here? Is because, once again, as you are scaling a business, which hopefully is the reason you're tuning in here, you are going to need some of these resources to track down stuff and keep track of information. So Google Voice also has an entire backend system if you subscribe to Google Workplace. So in that backend system, what I'm able to do is be able to see everything that's going on in the actual call log. It also has a phone that I can dial into. So that's a great resource as well. And this is just a great opportunity to keep all my stuff in one place. So I can go into my actual apps, and I can look at that information. So I'm going to go down to my Google Voice account here. And in my Google Voice account, I can see all our numbers that we have. I can have ring groups. I can have locations. I can have auto attendance. I can have porting services. Great resource. I really like it, and it's really gotten much better over the past, give or take, about 6 months. So it's allowed us to grow and scale in a really opportune method. And this is something that we pair with standard iPhones, standard phones, right? So I still have my phone, but in my phone, I have access to those other details. And most of the calls dial through to a phone as well. Some of them dial into a office or desk phone. You can have that or not have that. That's your personal preference. We also have that VoIP service. So a couple of them, instead of picking up on a hand phone, they just pick up with one of these mics on a computer. So great resources, but what this really comes down to is tracking, being able to identify where you're getting calls and how you're getting calls so you can be successful with those calls, and understand that one piece of marketing may be really beneficial, whereas another is not. If you want to go really high level on this, because I do want to offer that opportunity as well, I actually do offer this function. There is a function that all these SIM systems are pretty much built on, and that is a program or a company called Twilio. Now, Twilio is definitely higher spectrum. Like you're not just jumping into it for quick and easy setup, but you can get really good access to a lot of details, and the cost goes down dramatically when you go direct to the vendor. And the vendor for all these platforms, for the most part, is going to be Twilio. And Twilio is just a, like I said, it does take some knowledge or some learning curve. So if you're deciding that, hey, this is something I want to use, Twilio is a great resource. I have to go through a two factor authentication, so I'm not going to do that today. But Twilio, Twilio, is the parent company for what most of these other companies are doing. They're just reselling the product in their own packaging with a little easier user interface, whereas Twilio takes some build out, not necessarily of code, but it does take out some build out and require some knowledge that you have to wrap your head around. So my point to this all, guys, is that we want you to be successful in everything you do. And the only real way to do that is to make sure that you are taking time to figure out where your marketing is best used. So if it is best used in one marketing resource, make sure that you're focusing the next round of resources on that to build it. If you're finding out that something's not working, be okay to quit it. And an easy way to identify that is through the phone numbers that are out there. We have tracking numbers all around. We have our social media tracking number. We have our billboard tracking number. We have details across the board that help us identify what's working and what is not. Hopefully, you can find that avenue as well. And as a last point, as you scale, make sure that you do so correctly, because a lot of people will get like a Google Voice, but they don't have the ability to pull reporting like I do because they don't use it through Google Workplace. Make sure that you're getting the full tool resource, not just the capabilities of what is offered. Now, granted, regular Google Voice, no cost. Google Voice through Google Workplace, there is a cost, and you need to make sure that you understand that as well. So, but as we scale, there is some money we need to put in, and I hope that that was not too over everybody's head. If you did not understand any of the details, reach out to me direct, 915-256-6989. That is not even a tracking number. That goes straight to my cell phone. So give me a call, text me, ask any questions that you may have. If you have any details that you may have wanted in this information, please make sure you reach out as well. And then I just want to invite you to our other trainings that we have during the week, all run through a live resource that is going to be Tea with Andrew, or sometimes it's Coffee with Nick, or sometimes it's just me and Nick talking. There's a variety of different things that happen. That is on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock Mountain Time, and that is on YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere that you may be watching this today. The other resource is you're going to find us on a fundamentals class, and that was with Kent and Andrew traditionally. Me and Kent had one last week, but that is a great resource to grow your knowledge base of how to operate real estate specifically as you're starting out in this business or as you're trying to reestablish yourself in this business. And then we have an agent attraction for those of you that are in EXP. That is on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock Mountain, and Thursdays is at 2 o'clock Mountain. Appreciate your time, guys. I know I gave a lot of information and I really went 30,000 foot view here, but great resources, great opportunities to just track down your information and make sure that that top of mind thing, profit first and return on investment, is always there. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.